So this is the first part of business planning. A lot of the terms you guys have heard hundreds and hundreds of times, but I'm hopefully presenting it in a way that might speak to you and might be a little bit more, oh, now I get it. Now I understand the difference between a goal and an objective and why they are different. Why do we have these terms? Because they really do help you move forward. I'm going to just go through here. There's an overview of business planning. So we're going to do section 1, which is 1 and 2, which is it says set your goals, make your whys, make sure they're clear, set up the internal dialogue for success. What is standing in your way? This is where you can use a SWOT analysis, which I'm sure you've heard of. And everybody kind of does the same numbers of SWOT analysis, discount brokerage, this, that, the other thing. My strengths are I'm with a recognized company, all that stuff. And we know that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but this is really more personal. What is standing in your way as a person? Were you the person in your family that everybody says, oh, you're never on time, you're always late, or you don't like numbers, or I get nervous in front of other people? I say all those thoughts in your head, you need to write down of you as a person, because the business planning section, the part where that starts everything, the foundation is knowing where you want to go. Then we get into 2, 3, and 4, which is your numbers and where you're going to go 6 months, 1 year out and stuff. And we're going to work on that a little bit next week. To go over some definitions. I want you guys to be clear on knowing the difference of certain words. Motivation. This is an increased desire for you to take action. This is an outside influence. This is me hopefully pumping you guys up to say, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to start this today. But the problem with motivation is it's only short-lived. It doesn't last long. It could last maybe a day, could last a week, could last 6 months. Everybody's a little different. The next one is willpower. Willpower is when you pull up from your bootstraps and you go to take action. You're like, okay, I'm going to get this done. I don't care if I'm tired. I'm going to just keep going. And that's that willpower. That's that internal drive. But that again is limited, because if you're sick, you don't feel well, and you get stopped. You can only do so much, right? But then we get into habits. Habits, I tell you, is the key. Habits is the things that you do every day and you don't even think about. So what you want to do is make sure the habits you have are good ones, are taking you in the right directions. How you get what you want is knowing your why. So the first thing is knowing your why. That's like the core, right? Then you have your goals, then your objectives. Your objectives are the specific milestones that you want to reach. Goals are not just financial. They could be, self-worth, better relationships, whatever they are. But I'm just going to use the financial one because it's easier at this point to share with the group the numbers that work with it. So if your goal is to have a new car or a beach house or pay for your kids' education, you figure out whatever that goal is. If you need 100 grand, 50 grand, 300 grand, whatever the numbers that you need, you figure out what your average sales price is. And then you work into that and how many transactions that is. And then your specific objectives go into how many people do I need to talk to make that many transactions for me to reach the money so I can get that goal. So I reach my why. Does that make sense? The strategies are what are you actually going to do to get it done? What am I going to do that's going to get things done? That's where the habits form. We are going to use our head and our heart to get going on this, because a lot of people make goals and they make these, ideas. I want to do this, I want to do that, but they don't have a big reason why. Their why could be maybe it's what they think they should be, prove somebody wrong. Maybe you got a divorce. Maybe you prove your parents wrong, your friends, I don't know what it is, but sometimes we make these goals and they're really not what we need. There's that old expression of, be careful when you start climbing that ladder to success. Did you put it on the wrong building? So you need to be clear, and your why helps you do that. When you make it really personal, it resonates with you. When you get stopped and when things don't go well and the motivation stops and the willpower is down, it's going to help you stick to it. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to stop for a little bit. I'm going to share with you a story of a woman I coached probably about 15 years ago. And her story will hopefully resonate with you of understanding what a why is about. Her goal was to buy a boat for her dad. That was one of her goals. So she had it on a goal card and she had a picture of a little skiff. And I said, okay, that's great. You want to buy a boat. How much is it going to cost? And we did all the standard numbers. I go, but why do you want to buy the boat? Because I really want to give my dad a gift. I go, no, but why do you want it? Why is that important? Well, it'll make my dad happy. I want to thank him. What do you want to thank him for? Well, and then she goes into the telling them the story. And the story goes like this. Her dad was a single dad. Her dad was a painter, and she would go on the shores of the Potomac and catch catfish a couple days a week after school with her dad and after work. And it was sort of like a fun thing that they would do, but it was also a way, as she realized when she got older, it was a way for him to feed them. They would basically catch dinner. and they would hang out and it was fun. She would play with her brother and they would laugh and joke. And her dad would often say, one of these days, we're going to have our own boat. We're going to be fishing in the water. We're not going to be doing this shore stuff. We're going to get one of those. Well, she was like, I want that day to come. I want that day because my dad deserves it. And so when she started telling me about it, she started crying. I started crying. I'm like, okay, now that is your why. Every time when you get tired of calling people, you know what? Think about that why. I said, I want you to really visualize and feel how it's going to be when you bring that boat up, a trailer up into your dad's driveway. I want you to look at your dad's face. What is he going to feel? Is he going to feel joy? Are you going to feel the joy with him? Is he going to start crying? Are you going to start crying? And she's pulling up these emotions that never even happened, but she's feeling them. And that is the drive that gets you to do things. When you lose motivation, you lose willpower, and it'll help you stick to those habits. So hopefully that kind of makes sense of why you need to have a why. It's not like a why of a big company where you're doing what's your core values. Each of those goals that you want to accomplish has to have something meaningful behind it to you, that when you get stuck, what are you going to do? Are you going to just sit there and go, oh, woe is me, I can't get it done? It's not easy to find whys that are that meaningful. But that's how you get the goals that you really want. And that's how you know the goals are really valuable to you. So you have your why and you have your goals. This is when you have to start into your SWOT analysis, makes you face what are the negative thoughts that you deal with self-sabotaging. You know, what are the things that you do that you have to stop? And again, I'm sharing with you, for me, what I do when I first got into real estate. I hated cold calling. I didn't want to get on a phone. I wasn't so sure about talking to people. I was okay in person, but I hated talking on the phone. Or share a personal reason why. I had a terrible speech impediment. I stuttered. I couldn't do my R's. I spent many years as a little girl in grade school picking up the phone and listening to my own voice in the microphone. I could hear it in my ears, how terrible I thought I sound. So the idea of me going, oh, who's going to want to listen to me? And now I want you to look what I'm doing. I'm teaching to what? You got 92 people on this call. And I teach, weekly to fire students. We have these self-sabotaging thoughts that kind of get in our way and stop us. But my why was really strong. And so that's what we need to do today. You can look in the mirror and say, I friggin' did it. And that's really important because that gives you the buzz to go more. I have some of my old gold cards and there is nothing, and I mean nothing better than a buzz for setting more goals. So the first thing you have to do is, what's my goal? Sometimes people might have a hard time finding their goals because, I'm sitting here talking about some meaningful goals. It could be you want a nice car. You want a Mercedes. You're tired of having junky cars and you want a nice car. So when you pull up, people look and you go, damn, you're successful. So one of the things that find your goals is what stresses you out. Financial. Okay. My car is always breaking down. I'm embarrassed to drive my VW Bug. We have this, the game plan that we've done for a bunch of years now that the company's put out for you. But what I want you to do, you can use this for your goals, but not just put like 5 financial goals. I want you to only do two financial goals, 2 personal, 2 family, 2 spiritual. And I need you to know, why do you want them? Go through why. I want you to start breaking it down like that, because that's how you get goals that are real and will get you going to where you need to be. You have your goals and your whys, but we need to follow that up with affirmations. Basically, the things that you think about becomes important in your head, and making sure that we stay focused on it. And you constantly say them every day. You put them everywhere. So you see that is a reminder. Your brain, even subconsciously, is going to start leaning towards it. It's like, if I don't know if any of you have kids and you tell your kids are learning to ride the bike, you never, ever tell your kids to look out for the curb. If you say look out to the curb to a 4-year-old riding a bike, they don't hear look out. They just see curb in their head and they go to it. It's like the expression of, I want you not to think of an elephant. You can't do that. Your brain is not designed that way. Being aware of what the conversation you have in your head is key. So each goal needs to have objections that are specific and measurable. Then there has to be a strategy behind it and what the go for each one of those goals. And then you have to have a task list. So you're going to have also one of these, which will be, what's your why? Put the why at the top, and then you can go into your plan of actions. And it's not the detailed, but I want you to get in the habit of just the general overview of it so you can kind of work it later. And then when you actually do your business plan, you're going to get into your milestones and your plans and stuff. Every day you look at it, you evaluate, You do aha moments, what's working, what's not working. You make sure you have affirmations and you follow it. This is what I have to do. Why everybody else is seeing all the barriers, you have to figure out and weave through the maze. How do you get away from it? How do you get out of it? So the best way to do it is to have goals or vision cards, right? So you can find pictures that symbol what you want. You can do it, on your phone, on your laptop, like I said, or you can go old school. These are old cards that I've had for years. And then on the back of the cards are affirmations that I talked about. Now, what I do find about when people set goals is that it's real easy to get wrapped up in, I'll be happy when I get my new car. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting and using it to drive you, but envy is unattractive. So you need to focus. The goals match up with the whys. You have a list of the things that you want to do. Now, once you get this done, then it goes into actually doing the work. And so I'm going to end it with this quote from Stefan Swanepoel, which I'm sure you guys all have heard of. Anyone can figure out why not to do something. It's too cold. I'm too busy. I'm tired, or will just take too long to complete. All of us want spectacular results. The problem is that getting spectacular results requires effort. We see other people doing what we wish we could do, then we fall back on either criticizing them for their success or being envious of how lucky they are. If we listen carefully to their stories, we will see that they are probably no better off than we were. All they did was follow a step-by-step process that helped them arrive at the destination desired. So the key is, what do you desire? But it's all about planning and making sure that you do and you live your life deliberately, not just haphazardly. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Good luck today.